You were telling me yesterday there are certain contracts that if they're under $50,000, they don't necessarily have to be put out to bid, and it would be imperative for people that are part of your program to develop relationships with the purchasing departments?
Yes, and that's one of those strategies that I was talking to you about on how we think we can reach more M&WBEs to get them into contracts. It's called an informal procurement method rather than a formal procurement method, and I can just briefly explain the difference between the two. If it's formal, it just means that you're going to have to submit a sealed bid, or when you submit your offer, it's sealed and all of the bids are open at the same time. And with an informal procurement method, the buyer for the agency can simply solicit quotes, and they can get a quote over a certain time frame. It could be today or tomorrow or within a time frame of a week or two from different people, and as the quotes come in, they put them on a bid tabulation form and then look at the most reasonable priced quote that they get. At certain dollar thresholds, that can be 3 quotes. At certain dollar thresholds, it doesn't have to be 3 quotes. It can be fewer than 3 quotes. And so that's where I believe, or we believe, and it's a tool in the tool belt that 15A gives agencies to increase their participation. For example, SUNY has special flexibility as an agency. We have 2 tools within which to use discretion. One is called Ed Law 355, and the other one is State Finance Law 163.6. And so with Ed Law 355, it simply says that up to $125,000, our buyers can either get 1 quote or up to 3 quotes. If it's $20,000 or less, and you're buying construction or construction-related services, if it's $20,000 or less, they can just get 1 quote. If it's non-construction related and it's a service contract, if it's $50,000 or less, you can have less than 3 quotes. Between $50,000 and $125,000, they have to get 3 quotes. For State Finance Law 163.6, and I apologize if I'm getting too technical here.
No.
But for State Finance Law, which is what most agencies use, it's up to $200,000. So if you're buying something that's $200,000 or less, you can get a quote from a small business, a minority-owned business, or they're certified,
sure,
and a certified woman-owned firm. That's 3 quotes right there. And you can award it based on the pricing you get just from those 3.
Okay, supposing you get a bid for the, say, $90,000, and 2 companies have the same bid, and one of them is a minority business in your program. Since the bids are the same, does the minority business get the preference?
No. That cannot be the only reason you award a contract, is simply because
if everything else is equal.
Again, it can't be the only reason.
Okay.
It has to be reasonableness of price. It has to be the most reasonable price. So what I think an effective buyer would do, if you've got 2 companies coming in with the same price, you can't share the actual price you got with either company, but you can go back to each one. That's why it's an informal bid, an informal procurement method, rather. So you can go back to both of those companies and say, I need your final and best offer because we have an identical offer on the table. What is your final and best? And I'm sure it won't come back the same again. If it does, I don't know about that one. I'm not sure.
What sort of products would the state or the university system be looking for?
We have...
And I know that might take up the rest of the show.
Well, we buy everything.
I know.
We're a huge institution, and so what I did do was look at the top 25 commodities when I first came on board. I've been with SUNY since 2012.
Okay.
Prior to that, and I was worked with the Office for People with Developmental Disabilities, and prior to that, I worked with DEC in this capacity. So every agency is different because they buy different things. They emphasize, they have a different mission. But SUNY is so unique because it's comprehensive. It does just about everything. So the top 25 commodities for SUNY includes things like cleaning supplies, janitorial supplies, which is what most agencies will do. But we also buy CAT scans, X-ray machines, huge equipment for generators, for energy generators. So we buy medical equipment and supplies, printing, audio visual equipment. We buy office furniture. We build these new dorms or these new buildings, and then you've got to equip them with furniture, seating in the lounges, curtains for the windows, you name it, anything that would go into a building, lighting, it's there. So we also do asbestos and lead removal. Some of our buildings are rather old. Automobiles, sales and service, and we do a lot with leasing automobiles. There are, as far as I know right now, there are two fairly decent companies, Webster automobile companies, and one is Van Bortle Ford and the other one is Webster. There are two that we use a lot. One is on the OGS centralized contract, and I'll talk to you about what OGS centralized contract is later. But we also buy things like computer supplies and parts, as I said before, furniture, bathroom, windows, business forms, welding. We do a lot with signs. We have signs all over the place with our different campuses, gift and promotions, athletic departments, admissions department. They do a lot with promotional gifts. Document imaging, doors, alarms, security, landscape, architect, car rental. So there, and I have some other things on the list too, but I don't want to.
I have a friend who has a minority business that sells clothing. Do they buy clothing too? I'll pass it on to my friend.
It depends.
They
Uniforms.
Okay.
Hospitals need the hospital gowns. The doctors need the coats for the physicians. So yes, we buy a lot of clothing. So does the Office for People with Developmental Disabilities. They need clothing for special needs. So some individuals with disabilities, it's hard for them to button their clothes, so they just need the Velcro to close it. So special need clothing is a niche market that someone may want to look into getting involved with and working with agencies that deal with people with disabilities. So there are a lot of different areas where you can focus, create a niche market for yourself.